In May 2017, there was a popular study by the Royal Society for Public Health in the UK that named Instagram as the number one worst app for youth mental health, specifically because it drives people to compare themselves to one another and fosters anxiety. Now, Instagram is an app that most of us are so used to that we can't imagine our days without it. It's so entangled with our daily lives that the business side of the story cannot be detached from the impact it has had on us and is continuing to have. I mean, more than a billion people use the app actively each month, while only a handful of those know the inside story of Instagram. In just 10 years, it has gone from being a simple photo app to $100 billion company, and that's insane. So, when my friend gifted me this book called No Filter, the inside story of how Instagram transformed business, celebrity, and our culture, I got really excited to dive into it because I read it in February, and that is when I had decided to delete the app for the month because I realized I was addicted to it. I was posting a lot and just spending a lot of time on the explore page, and so I thought, well, I'll just go cold turkey, delete it, and only use the browser app for 10 minutes a day. So I really enjoyed this book, and this is just a short video on what to expect if you actually decide to read it because it's very interesting. It talks about how Instagram started when it was first called Bourbon and had a completely different use case. Says Bourbon let people say where they were or where they planned to go so their friends could show up. The more time a user went out, the more virtual prizes they got. Honestly, I have no idea how that app worked, but or I mean how it was useful, but I guess it was cool in 2010. So after raising a few rounds of venture capital and having $500,000 in VC funding, the two co-founders, Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger, also realized the same thing. They realized that Bourbon was fun but not at all useful. So after brainstorming, they realized the useful aspect of Bourbon was sharing photos, and they pivoted to Instagram, which was a combo of Instant and Telegram, where photos would use as few pixels as possible, so people could upload shitty pictures from their smartphones because at that time smartphones were not as good as digital cameras, and it would also have a square frame which would give users some creative constraint, just like Twitter had a 140 character limit. Then they also decided to add filters to the pictures because it would give us, the Instagrammers, just like the ability to present our reality as more interesting and beautiful than it actually is, which they thought would make the product popular. And it actually did. I mean, within the first week of launch, first day of launch, they had 25,000 people download the app, and in the next week that followed, they had more than 100,000 users. Then the book talks about the chaos of success that followed after the app became really popular, then being bought by Facebook for $1 billion, and being the first mobile app ever to be valued at that price. They also talk about getting celebrities on board, and how Kevin Systrom, the founder of Instagram, how his life became a real life Instagram as he started hanging out with celebrities all over the globe and got the finest thing he desired in an instant. And we all know about the rise of the new celebrity, the influencers. So in the early days, Instagram actually promoted users' account. So they had a power to make someone popular. They used to share cool people doing cool stuff on their blog post, and that would make them more discoverable. And there was an example of a lady leaving her job to run her dog's Instagram account, and another fitness instructor who just got really popular because Instagram bumped her profile. And then of course the discussions around what is Instagram worthy. Are we using filters to hide our reality, to celebrity dramas and teen mental health concerns, to even cases of people dealing with drugs on Instagram platform because at that time they did not have better policies in place on how to identify such activity on the platform. And of course dealing with Mark Zuckerberg because they were under Facebook then. Even though they were working independently, there was a lot of fight for resources, then fighting with Snapchat, and eventually launching Instagram stories. For some fun stats, in 2012, when Instagram reached 1 billion, Facebook reached 1 billion users, they had 4,600 employees. And when Instagram was going to reach 1 billion in 2018, they only had 800 employees. Uh, and then, I mean, there's a lot of drama. And then finally, the co-founders leaving the company in 2018. But the app that these two people developed now has tremendous cultural influences. It has transformed businesses. It has changed most of our lives. And the author also says in the start, the story of Instagram is ultimately about the intersection of capitalism and ego, about how far people will go to protect what they build and to appear successful. And that is not only for the big players in tech in San Francisco, it also talks about you and me who are using this app. So I highly recommend reading this book. I think everyone should know about things and inventions that impact our lives. So yeah, keep using Instagram and read more books, but be mindful of the impact of Instagram on your mental health, because you are the only judge for that. Yeah, enjoy. Cheers.